Hey, welcome back to the Big Book Deep Dive here on Progress and Perfection. You can find more information on our website. You can contact us. All the links for that will be in the description below. My name is Eamon. I'm joined by my good friend John. Here we go.
All right. Well, always a pleasure.
Indeed, sir. Shall we dive back into and swim around in step 12?
Step 12. I guess ironically it makes sense since considering step 12 is like a lifelong endeavor. Yeah. That we would be spending multiple episodes in step 12.
We'll be here today and probably again on the next episode.
As if we cannot get out.
Yeah.
But that's good.
As if we cannot graduate from it.
It's emblematic of what step 12 is.
Why can't we leave it behind?
Continuation. Yeah. So that's good.
Got to keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
We'll pick up on page 94 up at the top. Outline the program of action. Explaining how you made a self-appraisal, how you straightened out your past, and why you're now endeavoring to be helpful to him. It's important for him to realize that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital part in your own recovery. Actually, he may be helping you more than you're helping him. Make it plain he is under no obligation to you, that you only hope that he will try to help other alcoholics when he escapes his own difficulties. Suggest how important it is that he place the welfare of other people ahead of his own. Make it clear that he is not under pressure, that he needn't see you again if he doesn't want to. You should not be offended if he wants to call it off, for he has helped you more than you have helped him. If your talk has been sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, you have perhaps made a friend. Maybe you have disturbed him about the question of alcoholism. This is all to the good. The more hopeless he feels, the better. He will be more likely to follow your suggestions. God. So we're still in this part where it's like going through directions of talking with a new prospect, right?
Yeah.
And I think last time it was the same type of thrust there, like, the worse off he is, the better. Catch him when he's coming off of a bender.
Yeah.
And, which I think we see the reasoning, if not the great advice in that.
Yeah. That's just quite the statement. The more hopeless he feels, the better.
And there's truth in that.
That's
too.
true. I'm with you. Just real quick. I think that the top sentence, it's sort of from my understanding, like when we have when people give their stories, you talk about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So I think it's interesting. That's pretty much what that's saying there.
Yeah.
How you made self-appraisal, how you straightened out your past, and what you're doing now to be helpful.
Yeah.
Just kind of think that's interesting. But let's get him as hopeless and as desperate.
Absolutely.
We possibly kick him in the balls.
Yeah. Complete desperation.
While he's on the ground.
That's right.
And then stomp on him.
That's right.
And then ask him if he needs help. And he may not, right? But that's okay because he has helped you more than you have helped him.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
not.
Maybe.
Your candidate may give reasons why he need not follow all of the program. He may rebel at the thought of a drastic house cleaning, which requires discussion with other people. Do not contradict such views. Tell him you once felt as he does, but you doubt whether you would have made much progress had you not taken action. On your first visit, tell him about the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. If he shows interest, lend him a copy of this book. Unless your friend wants to talk further about himself, do not wear out your welcome. Give him a chance to think it over. If you do stay, let him steer the conversation in any direction he likes. Sometimes a new man is anxious to proceed at once, and you may be tempted to let him do so. This is sometimes a mistake. If he has trouble later, he's likely to say you rushed him. You'll be, I want to come back to that. You will be most successful with alcoholics if you do not exhibit any passion for crusade or reform. Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection. Show him how they worked with you. Offer him friendship and fellowship. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you will do anything to help. So we both kind of grunted about the speed or the pace here. We've talked in earlier episodes about The opposite of this, really, the tendency of people to sometimes take their time and not get busy, if you will, and I tend to lean more towards that in the present day than perhaps, maybe this is an aged part of the book that hasn't aged along with the culture, because I see it very much. There's been a slowing down of, in general, my perception, my limited view, whatever. There's been a slowing down rather than a rushing into this. Do you have any experience with people going too fast, whether that's in therapy or the program?
Yeah. It's kind of just, again, it's kind of funny. Like, he's likely to say you rushed him. So I just think that's like kind of funny that he'll just blame you.
Yeah. That's what we do, right?
Him. So I think that's funny. I don't know. I think like you've got to be aware of people's personalities, honestly, because I think some people need to take time and they just need to process through. But then there's a lot of people that you would say are type A or like higher in conscientiousness, where they are a little bit more like, let's freaking go. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And I can see how if you misjudge it, you're going to read that as like someone being like overcommitting or whatever, when actually like that's how they kind of roll. You know what I'm saying? I think we know people that have a little bit more of a directive personality, and like they're going to do it, and they're going to do it honest, and they're going to do it thorough, and it's going to be fast. And we could interpret it as be like, whoa, slow down, man. Let's take our time and go back through this. And even that could be off-putting to them because they're like literally have done it honest and thorough. So I do think there's wisdom, I guess, to a sponsor's ability to recognize a sponsee's personality. And if that personality, you can kind of see it not jiving with your own, finding him somebody that he will jive with. Yeah. So whereas if your tendency is more to like, let's take a slow walk through this, and you got somebody that's like, no, let's freaking go. It might do them more harm than good to be like, no, slow down, little buddy. Like, let's take it easy here. The better option might be, you know what? I really appreciate your enthusiasm. Let me find somebody that might have a little bit more bandwidth to be able to walk through this with you a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
You know?
A lot of the times it's happened more indirectly than directly, I think, for me. I think people will drop off, and not necessarily to go drink or whatever, but just when there's an incompatibility and neither of us address it. It's like, well, okay. Turn around a few months have gone by. It's like, see how he's doing. And he's doing fine.
Yeah. Right. It's
like, okay.
He's doing great. He's at different meetings. He's got a sponsor, and he's on like step 8. And you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Because ultimately you get sobered up just, initially, and, I'm responsible for me.
Right. Right.
And I need some hand holding for a minute maybe, but
right.
And that goes for everybody. Like, we're responsible for our own recovery, and there's tons of help to be had. And that's part of passing it on, as is being emphasized here. But I gotta do my part and be willing to take that help.
Yeah, man. And I think it does, like, I don't know, maybe we as sponsees could take on a little bit more of the responsibility to ensure best of fit. It's certainly not their, or it shouldn't be their responsibility.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be a little more helpful if we do verbalize that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Front.
Yeah. I'm just kind of thinking now, but if you meet with them a couple of times and you're like, man, I love meeting with you, but I feel like, let me get you in touch with my buddy Jimmy Joe, because I feel like, man, he's really like where you're at. Yeah. We can continue a relationship. Certainly meet you at meetings, and if there's something I can do to help you, call me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's a place for that, because I mean, it took me 3 sponsors to find my match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was never a good like breakup. It was always just kind of like a ghosting.
Yeah. You're just kind of floating from one to the next.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, eventually I found my person, but I don't know. Maybe something to think about.
Food for thought. If he is not interested in your solution, if he expects you to act only as a banker for his financial difficulties or
Let's
a nurse
go.
for his sprees, find a banker sponsor.
I love that.
You may have to drop him until he changes his mind. Yeah. This he may do after he gets hurt some more. If he's sincerely interested and wants to see you again, ask him to read this book in the interval. After doing that, he must decide for himself whether he wants to go on. He should not be pushed or prodded by you, his wife, or his friends. If he is to find God, the desire must come from within. Boy, when's the last time you assigned a full book in between? I barely expect people to read a paragraph or
Good
two.
luck. Right. Yeah. Good luck.
Oh boy. I don't think I read the whole book. Maybe I've never even read all the stories back there.
Yes.
Have I even read this?
Yes. What are the 12 steps? Where am I right now?
Hey, I know it took me forever to like put a serious dent in
Sure.
it. Like I did the minimum viable product. Like, what is my sponsor telling me I got it? Okay, I'll read this chapter.
Right. Read the doctor's opinion. Okay. It's like a page, like,
XI to
it's so
XIV.
hard.
Yeah.
Did you read it? No, I didn't.
I couldn't do it. I just didn't have time.
Right, it's so hard. We talked about this before, but like I do think it's worth kind of repeating. Ultimately, you have to find value in yourself to be able to complete this program of recovery. But I do think it's okay in the initial stages if I don't see myself as having any worth, to find worth in my relationships with others and to do it on behalf of them. I don't know. I think that's okay.
Serves as kindling for the fire.
Yeah, I've never balked at that before.
Yep.
So I don't know. And it's worked out.
Yep, I agree. If he thinks he can do the job in some other way or prefers some other spiritual approach, encourage him to follow his own conscience. We have no monopoly on God. We merely have an approach that worked with us. But point out that we alcoholics have much in common and that you would like, in any case, to be friendly. Let it go at that. Do not be discouraged if your prospect does not respond at once. Search out another alcoholic and try again. You're sure to find someone desperate enough to accept with eagerness what you offer. Yes.
Love that.
We find it a waste of time to keep chasing a man who cannot or will not work with you. If you leave such a person alone, he may soon become convinced that he cannot recover by himself. To spend too much time on any one situation is to deny some other alcoholic an opportunity to live and be happy. One of our fellowship failed entirely with his first half dozen prospects. He often says that if he had continued to work on them, he might have deprived many others who have since recovered of their chance.
I just think that's funny wording.
Which part?
Just that top part.
The top bit.
Do not be discouraged if your prospect
again.
does not respond at once. Search out another guy and try again. Surely to God, at some point, you'll find somebody desperate enough that'll listen to you.
Right.
I don't know. I just think that's kind of like funny. Like, oh, I suck. They
Well,
didn't respond to me. Will you be my friend? Come on, man. Oh, I suck again. Like, you just keep on going and going and going. And then you finally find somebody who's so freaking desperate.
down the line,
Like,
peel him off the pavement.
He's so desperate for something, somebody that says something to him that you're like, hi, how are you doing? They're like, yes. I don't know. I've just got a funny mental image in my mind of that. Some poor soul, like, oh, I suck again. Hey, can I help you? No, get away from me. Ah, I suck again.
Yes. I do have this picture also of like not to go beat it over the head again, but the timing of this being written and just literally like going to hospitals and places, like the access to the still suffering alcoholics had to really be sought out to a greater degree than today.
Yeah.
But you're right. That is such a funny picture.
And to your point, like it didn't take them long to find someone desperate enough.
Oh, yeah.
Because like if I'm starting in the hospital, these people are already like on the verge of death. So desperation is like in the air.
That's right.
It probably is a matter of going from like
that's right
room to the next room to like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
you want to hear it, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, I
True.
think you're right. I think you're right. It's interesting that they refer to it as a fellowship. I don't know. No comment needed, but, you know, I feel like that was on the other page too, the fellowship.
Capital F.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting. And it's an important part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A part of
Mm-hmm.
kind of the second prong. You got the program and the fellowship, program being the steps.
Right.
Suppose now you're making your second visit to a man. He's read this volume and says he is prepared to go through with the 12 steps of the program of recovery. Having had the experience yourself, you can give him much practical advice. Let him know you are available if he wishes to make a decision and tell his story, but do not insist upon it if he prefers to consult someone else. He may be broke and homeless. If he is, you may try to help him about getting a job or give him a little financial assistance. But you should not deprive your family or creditors of money they should have.
Probably true.
That's true. I'll stand behind that.
Probably true.
I also wouldn't expect to see any money that you give any fresh alcoholics back.
Absolutely not. Nope.
Perhaps you will want to take the man into your home for a few days.
I
Think we'll scratch that.
probably will.
Probably not. But be sure you use discretion.
Some homeless dude. Hey, buddy, here's $20. And by the way, why
Need
don't
a
you
place
come
to
on
crash?
over? Why don't you come on over? Okay.
Hey, honey, meet George.
Yeah, that's probably, for the record, that's probably a bad idea.
Probably not a good idea. Be certain he will be welcomed by your family.
Whoa, okay, sure.
It's
Your
better.
wife would love that. Hey, honey, it's freaking George. By the way, I just gave him $100 and told him he could sleep in our bed. I told him we'd take the couch.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's so good. We would, for the record, not advise.
I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that.
Let's see what's next. Be certain he'll be welcomed by your family and that he's not trying to impose upon you for money, connections, or shelter. Permit that and you only harm him. You will be making it possible for him to be insincere. You may be aiding in his destruction rather than his recovery.
And your own.
All of them, everyone nearby.
And your own destruction.
There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth and
his
destruction.
His destruction and your home's destruction. Oh, man.
There will be multiple desperate people after this.
Everybody's going to be drinking after that. Oh, my God. Anyways,
right.
Different time, different place.
Different
I'm
time.
sure
sure
it's
it
well
worked out fine
intended.
for
I'm
them.
sure that was fine.
That's right.
I'm sure this could never happen this day and age. Oh my God, can you imagine? What a disaster.
Oh, yeah. What?
His
When
destruction.
was the last time we had it to this edition? We might want to take a look at the first 164 next time.
No kidding. Yeah, I don't know that it's his destruction you need to worry about. He's going to be fine. He's living in your house now. He's great. God.
Oh,
All right. Anyways, sorry.
all right. So page 97, we continue.
Let's just pretend like that last paragraph was not in the book.
Well, we may not be done.
No.
Never avoid these responsibilities. Never. But be sure you're doing the right thing if you assume them.
Oh, man.
Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery.
That's true.
A kindly act once in a while isn't enough.
That's probably true.
I like those sentences
probably
still
true.
hold up.
Yep.
We just don't want to attach them too firmly to the anchors before.
Yep.
You have to act the Good Samaritan every day if need be. It may mean the loss of many nights' sleep, great interference with your pleasures, interruptions to your business. It may mean sharing your money and your home. And here we go. Counseling frantic wives and relatives.
My God.
innumerable trips to police courts, sanitariums, hospitals, jails, and asylums. Your telephone may jangle at any time of the day or night.
No.
Your wife may sometimes say she's neglected. Furthermore, a drunk may smash the furniture in your home or burn a mattress. You may have to fight with him if he's violent. Sometimes you'll have to call a doctor and administer sedatives under his control.
What is happening?
Another time, you may have to send for the police or an ambulance. Occasionally, you'll have to meet such conditions. Do you know what I have written in the margin of my book right here?
What?
12-step promises. That is not a joke. That's in the margin of my book.
I'm crying. Oh my gosh. Oh man. That's an amazing paragraph.
That's incredible. And it's not over. We will seldom allow an alcoholic to live in our homes for long at a time. It is not good for him. It's not good for him.
No, it's not good.
And it sometimes creates serious complications in a family.
You think? Oh my God.
Though an alcoholic does not respond, there's no reason why you should neglect his family.
Oh, no.
You should continue to be friendly to them. The family should be offered your way of life. Should they accept and practice spiritual principles, there is a much better chance the head of the family will recover. And even though he continues to drink, the family will find life more bearable.
Oh my God. I don't know what to say.
What do you think about that, John?
I don't know what to say.
How does this hold up to the scrutiny of the
I don't know
the
what to
light
say.
of 2024?
I don't think that's a good idea.
In case you didn't catch it from
don't
hackling.
think that's a very good idea. Loss of many nights' sleep, interference with your pleasures, interruptions to your business, sharing your money, sharing your home, counseling frantic wives,
Burnt mattresses.
trips to the freaking cops, the sanitariums, the hospitals and jails and asylums, phone ringing off the hook, your wife saying she's neglected. The guy coming in, smashing on your furniture, burning your mattress, and then you gotta beat him up.
We beat him up and then, then administer sedatives to him.
After all that, then you beat him up and give him some
Was that before or after the sedatives? It doesn't seem fair. Okay, it was before the sedatives.
No, it's before. No, you beat him up and then you freaking feed him some Xanax or something. Oh my God! And then you call the ambulance.
Yeah.
What?
All in a sober day's work.
What? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I'm gonna say that you don't have to do those things. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you don't have to do those things.
I'll say also that you don't have to do that.
I guess the question becomes, why don't you have to do those things? Why was it important enough to put in the book?
Yeah.
And for him to be like, no, you gotta neglect your wife on behalf of entertaining the crazy world of an alcoholic.
I mean, I very clearly do not understand this.
You put the promises out the side.
And so it appears to be my writing. Now, whether I was trying to make a joke to myself.
At one point, you thought this was great.
At one point, I was like, yeah, man. Where can I find this
This
drunk?
is what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, the only way that I can wrap my head around this is like this is going to some hyperbolic extreme to point out that we've got to put our sobriety front and center first and foremost. But I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, with a wife and kids and a healthy, safe life. I'm not going to put those things in jeopardy for my freaking sobriety. You know?
Well, it makes me like. So again, I'm thinking like, why do I disagree with this?
Yep.
Outside the fact that it's a little bit ridiculous, but why do I?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because I have sober-mindedness, like that's why. I feel like if I'm thinking clearly, then of course I'm not going to allow this type
is not
of
gonna,
thing.
I'm not going to enter into a domain where this can happen.
Bro.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. It seems almost contrary because if this book is supposed to breed sober-mindedness, and like we've said before, it's suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's so in conflict, and like, yeah, it seems like it's so in conflict with the idea of sober-mindedness and like keeping it simple and like all of the, I don't know, dude. It just seems absolutely wild.
So this was written when Bill Wilson and the founding crew had very minimal experience actually living sober. But the experience they had, I know that Bill's and his wife, like they took people into their house. They did this crap. And so I think that it's a result of a very limited period of time of living sober and trying to help the next alcoholic, that this is the only picture of helping an alcoholic off the street that they had to go on. And so they put it in here in the original text, which has not been edited, the first 164, aside from a few wordings, since it was written in 1939.
Right.
And so I think that's how it winds up here. And I think it's why the 12 and 12 is so much more palatable start to finish, because they had I forget the amount, but maybe 10, 11, 12, 13 years at that point, the people that were writing and editing that book. Yeah. And so it takes this type of this is not in the 12 and 12 in this type of language.
This shouldn't be anywhere.
I kind of agree.
This could potentially be a recipe for absolute disaster. Yeah. If taken literally. Yeah. Like if some dude got swallowed up into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous with some hardliner and he reads this book, then this is what he thinks is supposed to be. Then he just opens himself up to a world of problems in the name of like charity.
Problems and danger.
Dude, yeah, man. I mean,
all kinds.
I've seen it happen before with like the most well-meaning of Christians. Like they'll open their home up to like foster home. They'll make their home a foster home because they want to help like orphans, or they'll mentor some poor kid, you know, that they just happen to make a connection with, and they start having them over into their house and having them around their kids and having them around their, you know, and feeding them, and sure, you can sleep here. Yeah. We don't want you to have to go home. And the next thing you know, the worst thing has happened. And I won't fill in the blank, but the next thing you know, the worst thing that you could think would have happened in that situation has happened. And it doesn't end with like you giving them sedatives and calling them an ambulance. Like that would be a much more pleasurable ending. You know, so I don't know, man. I think there needs to be a lot of wisdom and discernment when it comes to like flushing out a strategy like that. But it is ridiculous reading. Yeah, that's bonkers stuff. I love that you put the 12-step process.
That's incredible.
Here's the
dude. I was a piece of work.
And you kept going, and you got sober. So you were like, "Hell to the bro, let's go!
There we go, man!
Burn the mattresses.
Oh my goodness!
F my wife. Screw it. Give him my money.
Good night.
Let's get him sober, baby. Let's go."
Yeah. Who knows, man? Who knows?
Love it. Oh, that's genius. All right, let's see what happens next.
All right, so what's next? Well, we're working with the family, it sounds like. Which, I think this was a product of the times too. You shouldn't neglect the family. Seems like there was a lot more contact, with sober people and working with the families or talking with them than at least I've ever done.
Yeah. For
the type of alcoholic who is able and willing to get well, little charity in the ordinary sense of the word is needed or wanted. Well, okay, that actually sure. I agree with.
Makes sense.
The men who cry for money and shelter before conquering alcohol are on the wrong track.
Probably true.
Absolutely. Yet we do go to extremes to provide each other with these things when such action is warranted. This may seem inconsistent, but we think it is not. I guess you and I just don't see that is warranted in hardly any case that I've come across.
Yep.
It is not the matter of giving that's in question, but when and how to give. Okay? That often makes the difference between failure and success. The minute we put our work on a service plane, the alcoholic commences to rely upon our assistance rather than upon God. He clamors for this or that, claiming he cannot master alcohol until his material needs are cared for. Nonsense. Some of us have taken very hard knocks to learn this truth. Job or no job, wife or no wife, we simply do not stop drinking so long as we place dependence upon other people ahead of dependence on God.
True.
Very true. Burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get well regardless of anyone. The only condition is that he trust in God and clean house. And I would say true too. I've got that underlined, although apparently my underlines could go anywhere these days. But I do think that's a very central theme that I will impress upon people, and not just in early sobriety either, but just in general. There are a handful of guys, old timers that I met through the years that shared parts of their story with me, and that I got to witness in real time and watch how people, or hear about how people walk through difficulty and either get or stay sober through it. And those things have just calcified my resolve for my own sobriety, and I think they're important to begin telling to the next person coming along that you can get sober regardless of anything, circumstance, people, whatever.
Right.
Now, the domestic problem. There may be divorce, separation, or just strained relations. When your prospect has made such reparations as he can to his family and has thoroughly explained to them the new principles by which he's living, he should proceed to put those principles into action at home. That is, if he is lucky enough to have a home.
Yours.
Asterisk, see
Kidding.
Previous page.
Kidding.
Not.
Just kidding.
Though his family be at fault in many respects, he should not be concerned about that. He should concentrate on his own spiritual demonstration. Argument and fault-finding are to be avoided like the plague. In many homes, this is a difficult thing to do, but it must be done if any results are to be expected. If persisted in for a few months, the effect on a man's family is sure to be great. The most incompatible people discover they have a basis upon which they can meet. Little by little, the family may see their own defects and admit them. These can then be discussed in an atmosphere of helpfulness and friendliness. After they've seen tangible results, the family will perhaps want to go along. These things will come to pass naturally and in good time, provided, however, the alcoholic continues to demonstrate that he can be sober, considerate, and helpful, regardless of what anyone says or does. Of course, we all fall much below this standard many times, but we must try to repair the damage immediately lest we pay the penalty by a spree.
So I have promises on that page at the top of 99.
I think I just flipped
Maybe
the
it was the wrong
page. It was
page.
a premature scratching.
Right. Maybe what you meant to do was put them up
Because it's in the same little, the same area on the wrong page.
Yeah. But I think like it's that idea of just action steps And how many times have I seen that with families who are in recovery? What they want, they've heard words all their lives.
Yeah.
And they've never come to fruition. And so like when they can see the action steps, like it just means a whole lot more to them. It's this idea of trust but verify.
Mm-hmm.
And I think addicts of all types get very, very frustrated because it's like, won't they trust me? It's been 3 months. Why can't they just trust me?
Yep.
And it's like, nah, bro, because you have been betraying the trust for, a decade.
Yeah.
So, they get to verify. And I think that's kind of what that's leaning towards.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this rather strong statement? Where is it? Though his family be at fault in many respects, he should not be concerned about it. And then he follows up there later on of like, at some point, where is it? Little by little, the family can see their own defects and admit them.
This is rehashing the fourth and fifth step.
Uh-huh.
What you'll hopefully get into in more detail if this guy is somebody you actually work with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, he's pissed off at them for XYZ. Meanwhile, he's done 10 times worse stuff throughout his drinking as a result of it.
Right.
It's the first step in getting him to turn his glasses around or his magnifying glass around on himself and realize, hey, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe not. But let's focus on the drinking first and you first, and then this stuff will.
Yeah.
And if there's legitimate stuff, yeah, sure. There may be legitimate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I work with somebody, though, I'm not really concerned about the faults of the family, unless there's some egregious stuff going on, egregious stuff going on.
To me, it's almost like a hoodwink, man. It's like a literary trick of allowing the alcoholic who's fresh, who's reading this for the first time to go, yeah, my wife's a bitch, man. Yeah, she did play a role in this. Or like, yeah, my kids are freaking maniacs.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's not all me. So like, yeah, and then at some point, maybe, after I get well, then maybe they'll be able to see just all the disruption and dysfunction that they've caused. But to your point, I think once you get them to that place in recovery where they do begin to address resentments and can see the glaring defects of character on their own, which drive those resentments, I think most of the time that goes away. It does.
That's a neat perspective on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it like that. Just get them starting to nod with you and start to say yes to stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because nobody wants to think it's all their fault.
Right.
That's no fun, especially in early recovery.
Yeah.
But later on, that becomes a little bit more palatable. And it's like, okay, my side of the street is what I need to worry about. I don't need to worry about what they do on their side of the street. My side of the street is what's important here.
I like it. If there be divorce or separation, there should be no undue haste for the couple to get together. The man should be sure of his recovery. The wife should fully understand his new way of life. If their old relationship is to be resumed, it must be on a better basis, since the former did not work. This means a new attitude and spirit all around. Sometimes it's to the best interests of all concerned that a couple remain apart. Obviously, no rule can be laid down. Let the alcoholic continue his program day by day. When the time for living together has come, it will be apparent to both parties. I just stay out of all that, to be honest with you. Next.
Unfortunately, I have to deal with it.
That's your wheelhouse, brother.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to deal with it.
I refer folks over to people like you.
Yeah, I think what has to be understood even from the get-go is that sometimes there is such thing as a bridge too far. Like sometimes there are wounds that the wife can't recover from.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes you have to just call a spade and understand that like I have done egregious damage to this person. And it's not even fair for me to continue and string them along. even though my life has changed and even though they can see that I'm a changed person, sometimes those wounds are just too deep, you know, and it's just the reality of the situation. But more times than not, like the emergent man, the emergent woman who comes out of the alcoholic mind is the person that they fell in love with to begin with. And so it's like what they've longed for forever. Dude, but sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes they fell in love with the party guy.
Yeah.
Who was drinking, you know, and then all of a sudden they get
Who's
sober.
this sober dude?
Yeah, and they may be more serious. They may be a little bit more socially reticent. They may be a little bit more introspective. And they're like, what is this crap? You know, I liked you better when you were drunk. So they can like begin to sabotage. But anyways, that can be very complex. And I think there's wisdom to what you said. Like sometimes it's best to kind of be like, okay, my job is to get you clean and sober. This relationship stuff, let me get you to somebody else.
Yep. And there again, I think we can speak into things to and only to the extent that we've gone through some stuff ourselves. And maybe not even speaking into, but just sharing again our own experience or as the case may be. Because like I didn't get sober while I was married. I got sober way before I even met my wife.
Right.
So none of this was even... This has not been a part of my journey at all. Right. Which is one reason I can be like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. Go talk to my boy John.
Go find somebody else to talk to.
A little bit more.
A little bit more. Let's do it. A little bit more. A little bit more.
Let no alcoholic say he cannot recover unless he has his family back. This just isn't so. In some cases, the wife will never come back for one reason or another. Remind the prospect that his recovery is not dependent upon people. It's dependent upon his relationship with God. We have seen men get well. We have seen men get well whose families have not returned at all. We've seen others slip when the family came back too soon. So reiterating what you just said. Both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were better than anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances. Hey, I got 12-step promises written by that paragraph too.
That's probably a winner. That's probably a winner.
Winner right there. When working with a man and his family, you should take care not to participate in their quarrels. Check.
Okay, thanks.
You may spoil your chance of being helpful if you do. But urge a man's family that he has been a very sick person and should be treated accordingly. You should warn against arousing resentment or jealousy. You should point out that his defects of character are not going to disappear overnight. Show them that he has entered upon a period of growth. Ask them to remember when they're impatient the blessed fact of his sobriety.
Read that next one, then we'll stop.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. Where's a good spot? One more. If you have been successful in solving your own domestic problems, tell the newcomer's family how that was accomplished. In this way, you can set them on the right track without becoming critical of them. The story of how you and your wife settled your difficulties is worth any amount of criticism.
You know, the takeaway with the family stuff, obviously we disagree with the front end of the family stuff. Yeah. But then this idea that like that paragraph, but urge upon a man's family that he has been a very sick person and should be treated accordingly. I think we can obviously use better language than that, but I do think that's important that there be some type of prep work into what the family can expect moving forward in the recovery process. Yeah. I don't know how that looks when you are a sponsor. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let me talk to your wife and kids. You know, like, I don't know. Maybe some people do that. I find that, I don't know. There's anonymity and all that stuff.
Don't work with the family is another. I don't know how much credence you can put in my margin notes anymore, but that's and as a general rule of thumb.
Yeah, and I think I agree with that. You know, there's a time and place, and I think it's easier, obviously, like as a professional counselor to be able to call the family in and meet with them and sort of like lay down what some expectations are, what they, what they can expect moving forward. Give them the hope of the promises of like clear-headedness and sober-mindedness that's right around the corner, just as encouragement to stick in there and see what happens. But yeah, I'm like you. Like I think it would be really, really weird some people will probably have no problem with it. Like, sure, call my parents, whatever, but it'd be weird to be like, hey, I'm going to talk to your wife and your kids and just kind of tell them just how sick of a person you are. So that they know what to expect.
Just so they know what to expect.
Right. That just, I don't know. There's something weird about that. I don't know.
No, and especially in earlier years when I was first working with people, I would go the exact opposite and assure and affirm that everything we talk about is confidential.
Right.
Like,
right. I'm going to do the best I can to keep this between you and me.
This is you and me, and I expect the same with the stuff that I share to you. And that's how, the meetings work in the same fashion. Right. But it's particularly, I want to treat this relationship as a sacred, confidential place. Right. With the caveat that if I ever need to like reach out and ask my sponsor something that I don't know the answer to, I'm going to let you know and get your okay about that. Right. But that would be the only type of exception. Right. That there's a mutually agreed upon, okay, I'm going to ask Joe Blow or whoever, or bring in somebody else with experience outside of myself if I can't speak into something. Right.
No, I agree. I agree with that. All right. Yeah. We'll have a humdinger of a conversation next time.
Yes.
Because I think there's all kinds of, the text itself is good, but there's all kinds of entry points for conversation. So, that's good. All right. Have a good run.
Indeed.
Don't start out too fast.
I will start out purposefully much slower than I think I should be going.
Lower that gear. Save it for the last 20.
Pop on an audiobook and just cruise for about 6 hours going one way. And then turn around 6 hours coming back the other way.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
And that'd be a nice. Cool 12.
That could be a win.
That'd be an hour and a half faster than I've ever run.
That could be a podium.
It probably would be a podium of some kind there.
How about that?
I think there's only 19 of us on the 100K.
All right, keep the wheels on and you'll be fine.
I shall.
Always a pleasure.
Likewise, sir.
Until next time.
Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more info at progressandperfection.com, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.